Welcome to another Team Prosperity training. Today, we're going to continue off the backs of last week and get a little bit deeper into some life insurance sales strategy. That's an important part of what we do. We lead with some other types of conversation, understanding that we're going to get all the insurance and retirement that we could possibly want off the back end of these conversations if we know how to structure them correctly and position ourselves, not as insurance salesmen, but as financial coaches. Last week, we did an introduction to life insurance sales. Like, what are the different types of life insurance? What are the purposes of each of those? And what are some intro selling strategies so that you really start to develop your book of business, develop your agency, whatever it is that you're concentrated on in a meaningful way so that you're not out there just trying to cram insurance down people's throat. You're providing it as a solution to the problem. So either as a way to avoid things that people need to avoid, or to get the things done they need to get done in their financial plan. So today, what we want to concentrate on, and the purpose of today's meeting, and these meetings are not very long, I just give you guys the stuff that you need, and then we exit and move on with our day. Today's training is all about how to sell the most insurance and to make the most money. That doesn't mean we're not doing the most ethical and the most fiduciary things for the client. That means how we position ourselves, how we anchor the conversation, and what is being interpreted by the other side, and how they walk away from those education meetings or the reports. So this training today is going to expand on last week's session by diving deeper into how to position life insurance to maximize sales and income. If you do the right thing, your persistency will be sky high, and you will be able to attract other people as far as additional clients and partners just from doing the right thing. You'll make a ton of money, and you don't have to go out there and do a lot of the things that the other agents do in the industry by not understanding how to sell life insurance and being in a position where you are constantly looking for the next sale to pay your bills. So we're going to cover advanced sales positioning, overcoming objections, optimizing the sales process, and then leveraging our model for long-term profitability. Guys, positioning life insurance as a financial strategy, not just a product, is so important. If you don't do that and you're looked at as somebody in the life insurance sales, let me let some people in real quick, then you are going to be deeply disappointed in your results. Why is that? Because nobody wants to talk to a life insurance salesman. And when you understand that, it's going to be a lot easier to go out there. And once again, we position ourselves as financial coaches, as financial educators, financial consultants, however it is that you want to label yourself. But once you get out of the insurance agent kind of idea, it becomes a lot easier to do what we need to do to sell insurance. What does that mean? Well, this is exactly what I mean. Instead of selling life insurance, sell financial security, wealth protection, tax-free growth. Depending on the net worth of the people that you're talking to, they're going to have different issues. They're going to have different problems. They're going to have different things they're thinking about, just like we've talked about in the past. If you're talking to millennials, Generation X, boomers, or outside of those three, they all have different views of the world, and they have different points of the life cycle that they've got issues that need to be addressed. If you're talking to everybody the same, you can't be a chameleon. You can't just blend in and have random conversations with random people. That's going to get you random outcomes, and you're going to work hard, but we're going to teach you to work smart. So what we want you to do is explain how life insurance is not just an expense, but a multi-purpose financial asset. Once again, life insurance is not an expense. If people start thinking, once again, like a consumer with the expense of life insurance, you've probably lost them. It's a multi-purpose financial asset that can eliminate risk. So if somebody has income that either they are counting on or other people are counting on their inner circle, it's income replacement. It's estate protection. Remember, if you are talking to somebody and they've invited people into their inner circle, they have children, they have spouse, what are we doing here? We have to take care of those people. And then when you throw in the fact that we have living benefits, it's no longer a selfless buy. It's a selfish buy, because now you have income replacement that will help you during your lifetime cycle as well. Create generational wealth. Now, I know that's kind of like a tagline on a lot of the social media platforms lately, but legacy planning is very, very, very important. So when you're creating generational wealth, how is that done? How is it not done? You want to make sure that you explain how it's not done as well as how it's done, so people can understand and avoid the mistakes of not doing it correctly. What about serve as an investment alternative? Now, we don't label life insurance as an investment. We label it as an investment alternative because we have the ability to cash value accumulate, we have tax advantages, and we have some things that we can do. Once again, depending on if you're talking to a business owner or a W-2 wage employee, there's going to be different types of conversations. But remember, your retirement is a pie. If somebody's got one slice and it's got market risk and tax implications, how much control do they have over their standard of living going forward in retirement? Not much. It needs multiple slices or multiple spokes in the wheel, multiple legs on the stool, whatever it is that you want to call it. And each one of those legs are pieces of the pie, whatever it is that you want to label them as. They have to be looked at individually. Does this have market risk? Does it have tax implications? The more you can create a pie where your client has the most control over all the variables going forward, easier it's going to be for them to have control, peace of mind, and a standard of living they can count on going forward. And then provide living benefits. I just touched on this, but how about being able to access some of that face value or cash value for things like you get sick, you get hurt. We have two parts of our business. We have debt to wealth. On the debt side, if somebody's getting through a debt shortened program, then what's living benefits going to do? Make sure they can continue on that path. What's it going to do after the debt's paid off? Well, it's going to provide bridges of capital for whatever it is they need. Living benefits is defined by a line in the sand. You got two types of people. Number one, if somebody has assets, what's living benefits going to do? It's going to provide them an opportunity where they don't have to prematurely attack those assets if something happens. What's on the opposite side of the line? It's people that have absolutely no assets. What is living benefits going to do? Well, it's going to help them with bridges of capital, not get into financial chaos, financial destitute, bankruptcy, and a whole cascading negative effect, financially speaking, that will affect other parts of their lives. So you're not selling insurance, you're selling solutions to either problems, perceived problems, or goals that somebody wants to attain. When you compare to other wealth building tools, we're not saying do this over that. That's never what you want to get in an argument over. You want to create diversification of market risk, diversification of tax implications, things like that. So when somebody says they put your money into a 401k, if somebody's getting a match, that's great. They can continue on with that, IRAs, real estate. Why not life insurance? Why not is life insurance part of the pie? We're not saying it's the entire pie. We're saying diversification of assets, diversification, like I said, of the way your money gets credited, of market risk, of taxes. You want to show how life insurance offers liquidity, tax benefits, and stability that the other assets may not. What are you doing? You're complementing existing assets. You're finding holes or gaps or ways that you can help somebody shore up and create a plan of action and execution of that plan where they have the most control, which I just said creates the most peace of mind. If you can create control and peace of mind for your clients, what type of reviews do you think you're going to get? What type of referrals do you think you're going to get versus just selling somebody a life insurance policy and treating them just as a client? Hey, here's your life insurance policy. Nice doing business with you. I'll never talk to you again. You want to create clients and you want to create communication between those clients and get those clients talking to other people who are not your clients to create lead generation. If you never ask for referrals, you get no referrals. If you ask for referrals when value is being created and recognized, they really start to open up. Next, we're going to move on to identifying how high-value clients in market segments. So when you are creating personas, which is extremely important in our business, you want to understand who you're talking to and create messages around that defined persona that resonates with that persona and has them raising their hand. Yes, I would like to talk to you. Yes, I would like that guide. Yes, I would like to attend that webinar. So when we look at this, who needs life insurance the most? You want to find people who need life insurance as part of your business model at the time they actually need life insurance. What are we talking about? Life events, right? Young families, as people are having kids, they need protection. As people are getting married, they need protection in case of unexpected death or disability. I think that the idea that younger people don't need life insurance, you got to overcome that with the cost and the risk of not being able to get insured later on. But there's a lot of younger people that are getting sick, that are getting hospitalized, that are coming up with these chronic diseases and things. So now more than ever, life insurance for young people is a must. High income professionals, if this is a persona for you, maybe they're not looking at maybe the protection. Maybe that conversation is geared around tax advantage wealth building options. Remember, there's 3 rules. You got to make money, you got to multiply it, you got to keep it from the government, right? So those are the 3 things. If you're talking to different people, you can't have the same conversation. High income professionals are a great persona if you know how to go after them with something that's going to resonate with them, which is always going to be taxes. Business owners, well, what happens if the business owner passes away or gets sick or get hurt and can't continue? Well, the business will live on as long as it's set up correctly. So business owners, they need buy-sell agreements. They need key person insurance. They need retirement strategies. Business owners are a great persona to go after because they wear so many hats. They're always thinking about their business. They're wearing all these hats for their business. Things get neglected. What gets neglected? A lot of times it's retirement strategies for them. So you can come in and you can offer multiple ways to help those business owners. And once again, create a one-stop shop where they don't have to leave your envelope of services and products to get what they need. Pre-retirees, what do they need? Income planning strategies with safe money solutions. What's one of the worst things that can happen to somebody when they reach retirement and start to get some distribution of all those funds they accumulated over a period of time? Well, one of the worst things, the market can be down 30, 40, 50%. Your standard of living is decimated because you've lost the ability to pull money and you've lost the ability, the time period to get it back. So pre-retirees, they're talking about safety. They're talking about income. So those are the things that you need to concentrate on with them. And then real estate investors could use life insurance for leverage and liquidity. We've got strategies that real estate investors can boost their profits by using some of our contracts to spend that money through. So once again, you don't have to talk to all these types of people. You want to hone in on one particular person or persona that you like talking to, that you feel like that you can help the most, that you feel like you communicate with the best. Go after them. As you're building your agencies, you'll get the natural diversification from other people. Hey, I'm working with these type of people. I'm working with these type of people. But once again, you cannot be everything to everyone. Pick out a lane, go in that lane, and dominate it for a while. So how are we going to best identify our clients? Well, we have to ask the right discovery questions. So not insurance questions, but risk and consequence questions. So what would happen to your family if your income disappeared tomorrow? And don't gloss over these facts. These are designed to be pain points, guys. And
How
let
much
them
more income
talk.
would you
Hold on one
think he
second.
would need?
Okay. You want to leave the life insurance conversation out of the beginning of your conversations. You want to get people thinking. If it's protection, you have to get them thinking about not necessarily the risk of what would happen to them, because going forward, you would not believe most all of us think we're invincible. Nothing's going to happen to us. So it's the consequence. Hey, if something did happen to you and your income disappeared for a period of time, if you had a premature death or you got sick for a period of time, what does the bank account look like tomorrow? What is your family dealing with? How do things look? And let them walk through there and don't just gloss over it. Dig in a little bit tighter. Are you confident your retirement income will last? That's a legit question. These are designed to get people thinking. I'm not sure. I've never thought about it. I have no idea. Well, don't you think that's an important part of the financial plan that you need to get some concrete answers to? Would you like a way to grow your money tax-free with no market risk? Well, how many people think taxes are going to be going up in the future? So once again, depending on your persona, depending on who you're talking to, depending on either the known or the perceived goals or problem of that persona, you want to position yourself into these conversations with the right language that gets engagement and gets people thinking about, once again, the solutions and products and services that you're going to be ushering in the not so near distant future. Let's talk for a minute about overcoming common client objections. And this is extremely important because if you've done your job, value's been recognized, you've taken them through the entire process, you need to get paid for your job. And when you don't get paid for your job, it's going to become very frustrating to be in this industry. You're going to work real hard, put in the hours, and have not much to show for it. So these are going to come up time and time and time again. I pulled out a few common ones. I can't afford it right now. It's not about adding an extra cost. It's about relocating found money to protect your family and grow your wealth. Depending on the age of the person you're talking to, in the amount they need, it's going to be variable. But if you're talking to young people, especially things like term and living benefits are not expensive. They can cut off, probably find something they don't even know they're paying for, stop it, get the money for insurance. So remember, help them find money. It's a lot easier for your clients or your prospects to spend found money versus new money. An example is just like I said, show how cutting small expenses, don't dig in and make their life miserable, but depending on how much it's going to cost them, what's it going to take to fund a policy? And you can use what's called the reverse or inverse. I can't afford it right now. You can't afford not to have it right now. Once again, going back to some of those things, if something happened, we had this conversation, how foolish would you feel knowing that I had an answer, I had the hedge of the risk of the consequence right in front of you? Already have insurance through work. Most employer policies are not portable. You lose them when you change jobs, whether that's a voluntary or involuntary. It means you leave by your choice or you leave by their choice. That's gone. So compare a work policy versus a permanent policy. Once again, a permanent policy, you're not just showing like a term versus something that'll protect you at work. Now you're showing how you can take that policy to a new level of control with cash value, lifetime benefits, create another slice of the retirement pie. Insurance is rented through work. You want to create a permanent solution for yourself and your family. I don't need it. That's going to come up. Some people just don't think they need life insurance. Response. That's what people say until they do. Best time to get insured is when you're healthy and rates are low. You want to lock in a hand right here, right now. You're not going to be, this isn't going to be a huge dopamine rush by buying life insurance, not like getting up and going on a trip or going out and buying new clothes or whatever it is that makes people excited. But this is something that has to get checked off the checklist. I'm right here, right now. Let's apply to see if it's an option and move on with our lives. I use the car example, like, hey, you don't call the car insurance company or auto insurance company pulled over to the side of the road after you've had a wreck. That's ludicrous to think. Why would you think you would do that with your life? And then go into what they're insuring. Are they insuring their car? Are they insuring their phone? What other nonsense insurance do they have on small things that are much more or less valuable than their life and their livelihood? Show a real life scenario of someone who waited too long. If you don't have a personal one, just kind of create a story. Let me give you kind of an example of what happens here. Indecision and procrastination. That's just, hey, they don't really give you a reason, but they're just kind of kicking the can down the road. You've got to be able to push people to an end response. You don't want a long list of people that you want to follow up with because they're in some cycle of indecision and procrastination. Your response to this is the biggest risk that you can do is wait. Every day you delay, you get older and the cost goes up, and the probability that something may happen to you is there, which means that you wouldn't have this and you wouldn't be able to get it going forward. If somebody's looking at maybe a permanent policy and maybe they won't pull the trigger, start with the term and living benefits, offer a low-cost starter policy, and upgrade the policy later. All right, let's kind of finish up today with optimizing your sales process for more closures, because once you learn how to close, you want to optimize this. You really want to get your engine revved up where you've got plenty of closes coming in, plenty of people in different cycles of communication. And then once you do that for yourself, you just have to teach other people, and you can build huge nationwide distribution of many of our products and services. So when we look at optimizing your sales process for more closures, really, what does that mean? Well, it means that you yourself have to simplify the conversation. We learn a lot of information being in the financial industry. If you take that industry jargon that we call it out, that technical jargon out to the marketplace, nobody's going to listen to you. They're not going to understand you. And if somebody doesn't understand, instead of asking questions, they're just going to be quiet, wait for you to finish, and never talk to you again. So focus on how the policy benefits the clients, not just product features. So, hey, in this case, if this were to go this way, this were to go this way, for you, Mr. and Mrs. Client, this is how the policy would benefit you. So don't just go through product features, align it to their life, align it to what they're doing, and show how it would help them. And then show how life insurance fits into their overall financial goals. It can be protection. It can be a combination of protection, asset, estate preservation. There's a lot that life insurance can do as part of the financial plan. You want to fit it into the financial goals, once again, as part of the goals, part of the solution, not just a product. Don't just go through illustrations. Don't go through quotes. Learn the power of storytelling. You want to share personal stories or client case studies that highlight A, why somebody bought insurance, B, how it changed their financial security, and then C, what happened when somebody didn't have the coverage. So remember, we learn from our strengths and weaknesses. Clients can learn from people who took our advice and who didn't take our advice, because they don't want to be that person who didn't take the advice, didn't take the coverage, something terrible happens to them, because instead of not knowing or not ever being introduced to this stuff, they would have declined that. So, paint both sides of the story, both sides of the fence, and understand the power of storytelling in selling, not just insurance, but most everything that you want to sell. How to convert not now into the future sales. Number one, you have to have a follow-up system. Most agents don't have a follow-up system. It takes between 5 to 7 follow-ups to really resolve something. So if you don't know who you talk to, it's on some piece of paper that you can't even read your own handwriting, things are going to fall through the cracks. What's falling through the cracks? Revenue, income, growth, referrals. Because you didn't close the first person, you can't get additional policies out of the referral. So 30, 60, 90-day check-ins. Stay in front of them, not with, hey, I'm following up to see if you want this insurance. Keep sending education materials to stay on top of their mind. And then, even if you didn't sell them their existing policy, offer a policy review for upselling opportunities. Hey, that's great. How long have you had the policy for? 6 years? Do you get annual reviews with your agent? Oh, you don't? Well, it's very important. Like everything else, do you have the same cell phone that you did from 6 or 7 years ago? Everything changes. There's new stuff that comes out. You need to be on top of making sure that you have the best protection. What I can do for you is I can offer a free policy review to make sure that whoever put you in that policy did the best possible thing for you. Does that sound like something you're interested in doing? Would that be beneficial? Would that have value for you? So no matter where somebody is, what they have, if you haven't, or if you have worked with them in the past, you keep the conversation going. And then finally, we're going to close on maximizing compensation and business growth. Because as you produce more sales and as you can teach other people to do that, if you're mission-based and you're looking to help a lot of people, there's nothing that will help more people than distribution of what we have in our model. How to structure policies for maximum income. This does not mean that if somebody has $300 a month to spend, that you're putting that in to maximize your commission. That's not what we're trying to tell you. We're trying to teach you how to upsell to larger face amounts or longer terms, and then offer riders not for the purpose of making you money, but the add-ons that enhance protection or that create more control, peace of mind, income, whatever it's trying to do on the back end or through the life of the contract. And then position permanent insurance over term when applicable for long-term renewals and commissions. The best thing somebody could do for themselves is get a permanent policy, because A, it's not rented, and B, they have all the ability to get the cash value in there and use it for different types of things. So when you are structuring policies, understand we can push debt through, we can push a lot of different stuff through. When you learn how not just to sell insurance, but learn how to sell insurance as a part of the whole financial plan, what you're going to see is those premiums and those targets get bigger and bigger and bigger. So you want to cross-sell, offer, and introduce. What does that mean? Cross. You want to cross-sell to increase revenues. It's a lot easier to go out and sell. Once again, you're not doing this like forcing stuff down people's throat, but by being the financial coach, financial educator, advisor, there's multiple things usually people need. Our average client buys more than 3 products from us. So it's a lot easier to go out and sell the same client 3 or 4 different things versus having to go out and manufacture 3 or 4 new clients. You want to sell multiple policies per household. I've made the mistake, guys, of working with a business owner in the past, not getting the kids and the spouse insurance, and the kid got into an auto accident, lost his leg, and died in the hospital. I felt so bad. So, the longer in the industry, the more you'll have this stuff, and you have to get out of the mindset, I'm pushing insurance, and I'm creating an opportunity for them to hedge risk and consequence, and offer estate planning solutions. Once again, if you are introducing different parts of the financial plan, somebody may need estate planning, somebody may need this or that. If you get in front of them with what their actual need is and you get them in our model, we got tons of other ways that we can help them. What's going to go into their estate plan, all their assets, all these things that we can talk to them about, see if we can help them better their situation now and going forward. And then, introduce self-insured health options for business owners. Once again, these additional lead-in sources where all we have to do is create the lead, send it over. Company does that, sends it back. Hey, we're able to save Bob $700 a month. Great, Bob. Awesome. I heard what happened. Let me show you how to turn that 700 bucks into a cash or to a tax-free retirement account for yourself. Once again, a lot easier to tell people what to do with money that you've helped found for them versus new money they have to come up with. And then how to build an agency and earn overrides. Well, once you learn how to get out of your own way and sell insurance and do what you're doing for the clients on a consistent basis, and you feel good about that process, you're going to bring in new agents, and then you're going to teach them how to do the same thing. There's two parts of this industry. There's production and distribution. Distribution is going to create a blanket so that you can reach more people, but it's also going to create an opportunity for you not to have to start over every month at basically a point zero with everything on your shoulders. And then use biz to biz equity opportunity to create long-term wealth. You're doing right for the clients, you're making the income, you're building your agency. Why would you not want to take a piece of $1 billion in equity over the next 5 years? Once again, that type of language can help get your existing partners, motivated and excited about this. It can also help you attract talent into your organization, which is extremely important if you want to be an agency builder. So the action plan coming out of this training for this week, here's what we want to concentrate on. Set clear goals for the week. If you're selling insurance, if you're not selling insurance right now, just mark wherever you are and then write down 3 specific strategies to implement immediately. So maybe it's making 10 prospecting calls a day. Maybe it's to book 5 new client appointments this week. Maybe it's to follow up with 3 past prospects. It just depends on where you are. If you're just trying to sell insurance, if you're trying to, increase your insurance sales, or you're trying to scale your insurance sales, you're going to have different examples of the goals that you need to accomplish that week. Where are you? What's going to get you over the hump to your next metric of growth? And then concentrate on those as goals. If you're building agencies, you need to also be comfortable with helping people. That phone is going to feel very, very, very heavy for these people if they haven't used it. If they haven't made any phone calls recently and all of a sudden they say they're going to make 100 cold calls, well, A, that's not a good use of your time. But B, if you make 0 to 100, you're never going to do that. Work with your agency managers, work with your upline, and then break into pairs or groups of 3 and really practice common sales conversations. You guys can learn from each other. I think that you get the wrong idea having a virtual business that we shouldn't all be connected in multiple ways. If you're in an office, you would be role playing. We'd be calling people into your office to help them get to their next goals. You need to do the same thing on a virtual level, even more, so people don't feel like they're on a desert island. And then have team members critique and improve each other's pitches. You have to be accountable. And if you're just accountable to yourself, it's easier to justify not doing the stuff that you need to do. If you're accountable to yourself and other people, it's harder to break those promises. So schedule a check-in next week to review your progress with somebody you're working with, and then recognize in your agencies as these things build out, your top performers who implement these strategies successful. Somebody's doing it, and then they've learned it, they've implemented it. You want to have those people talk to the rest of your group. Success in life insurance sales is not just about selling policies. If you're going to be a policy seller, I don't know really how to work with you because you're going to find a lot of dead ends. People don't want to talk about insurance. So when you remove the insurance conversation from the front side, it's going to be a lot easier to sell insurance. This is all about helping people secure their financial future. The more value you guys provide on the front side and through the conversation, the more you're going to earn. The business rewards those who commit, stay consistent, and continuously improve what they're doing. Now is the time to take action, refine your approach, and position yourself for the biggest financial year of your career. A lot of people can do it. Well, everybody can do it for a day. Most people can do it for a week. Some can do it for a month. Can you put together 12 months here? If you can, you'll find that to be life-changing. So learn only what you need. Don't go out there and think that you have to procrastinate the activities because you don't know this, that, or the other. We've got plenty of people to help you master your role. We've got inviters, marketers that work together with consultants and managers. So understand your role, what you need to do, master that role, and grow into other roles as you go forward. Learn only what you need, implement what you learn, and grow your business.